MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Thursday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. We begin this morning with an amazing story of recovery. Almost 2 years after being struck by a vehicle while exiting a school bus in western Montana, 8-year-old Jordana Hubble is living life to the fullest. She spent months in Texas going through rehabilitation and learning to walk. Now, as MTN's Sean Wells tells us, Jordana is back in school and doing the things she loves.
Atta girl.
A child having fun with her mother at her favorite park.
I'm still here. Keep going, but reach higher.
That's where you can find Jordana and her mom Veronica most days after school.
You know, this is a place that we went to often before, and it's just great to be back and getting back into the normal routine of things, just tearing it up, having fun.
The park is just a few blocks away from Moldown Elementary in Whitefish, where Jordana started classes on a half-day schedule back in August.
So you go from school straight to therapy, and so she's doing the hours that she would for school anyways, and it sounds like we're going to be pretty shortly here shifting her back to full days and having some of the therapies taken over by school staff at Moldown. So that's pretty exciting.
Veronica says Jordana has made major strides since returning home to Olney.
Is that good? Yeah.
Thanks to hours of intense therapy, Jordana is walking unassisted and starting to speak once again.
It's completely different than how she was before. She's just gets all over the place and into everything.
Veronica says Jordana loves messing around with her brother and sister and playing with her 3-year-old cat Peaches.
She's always been crazy about the animals. She loves them so much, and Peaches, her cat, he knows who Jordana is. That is his mom, and that's the one he wants to go and sit on and play with, and she's all about it, gives him all the attention he just so desperately wants.
Veronica says letting Jordana struggle is the hardest part of her recovery, but she knows all that hard work will pay off down the road.
Just keep setting new goals for her, and she's just chugging along. I mean, she's always going to be a little bit behind, but you know, by the time she's my age, it probably won't even be noticeable.
Veronica says the Hubble family can't thank the Flathead community enough for all the support and love they've shown Jordana on her road to recovery.
You want to tell everybody that's been sending you cards and flowers and stuffies, well wishes and praying for you.
Thank you.
In Whitefish, Sean Wells, MTN News.
Back in June, Patricia Berliner, the woman charged with hitting Jordana, agreed to a mediation sentence with the state of Montana that includes a deferred sentence of 6 years. She must also complete 100 hours of community service, complete a distracted driving course, and support the Hubble family in ongoing bus safety legislation. Now it's time to turn our attention to weather, but before I just want to say, oh my gosh, she made such great progress, that girl. When that accident happened, it was just terrifying. Horrifying. Yeah. And just to see how far she's come, it really did, you know, shake the whole state of Montana. But yeah, she's doing good.
Inspirational.
Yes,
Absolutely.
very much so.
Cool. How do we follow that?
Yeah, sorry, I just had to let it out. That was
awesome.
the first time I saw that video,
cool.
and my goodness.
That is cool. All right, so well, let's take a quick talk about the weather. As we wake up this morning, you notice there's a chill in the air. In fact, Sheridan at the airport had the first freeze this morning. Got below freezing. I think you're at the freezing mark right now. Here at the airport in Billings, we're sitting at 43, humidity at 49%, winds out the southwest at about 16 miles an hour. Quickly, let's crunch some numbers. High yesterday got up to 63, so below average. Our overnight low 46, so pretty much seasonal. Top wind gusts near 30 miles an hour yesterday. Wind should be light today. Now, look at that. We had no rain yesterday. We've not had a lot of rain at all for the month, not even a half of a tenth of an inch here at Billings, and we have wrapped up, if I'm not mistaken, we will wrap up. This is the second driest September on record for Billings. It's going to be the 7th driest for Livingston, and in Sheridan be the 10th driest. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of rain in the forecast. In fact, our next chance may be sometime late next week. Temperatures out there right now, mainly in the 30s. We have some 40s as well. Highs today in the 60s and 70s. Lots of sunshine. It's just going to be a very pleasant final day of September. So get out there and enjoy it if you can.
Can't believe it's already here. We
can't believe.
Started putting up the Halloween decorations yesterday.
Yeah, did you now? Yeah,
we
starting to see a lot of folks do that. Yeah. Oh, best time of the year. Yeah.
All right, Miller, thank you so much. I will get back to the news.
Okay.
There's progress in Washington. Lawmakers announced they will be able to keep the government from shutting down at midnight tonight. But as for President Joe Biden's legislative priorities, there is still a lot of work to be done. CBS's Laura Podesta has more.
Congress has a deal to keep the government open.
We are ready to move forward. We have an agreement on the CR, the continuing resolution to prevent the government shutdown.
The House and Senate will vote today to fund the government through December 3rd.
Democrats don't want to shut down the government. Republicans don't want to shut down the government.
800,000 federal employees will not be furloughed, and critical agencies dealing with the coronavirus pandemic can continue to work.
It's going to be a home run.
Last night, members of both parties took a break from this week's political gamemanship for the annual congressional baseball game, a charity fundraiser event. President Biden made an appearance, speaking with both teams. Republicans won 13-12.
Just their second win in a decade.
Back at work today, Mr. Biden's two legislative priorities hang in the balance as Democrats try to hash out a deal amongst themselves.
I'm looking forward to having good negotiations in a good faith manner, okay?
West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin called the president's $3.5 trillion social policy package fiscal insanity. But progressives are promising to sink the $1 trillion infrastructure bill without it.
I want the infrastructure bill to pass. I voted for it. I want it to pass in the form of mail. But we've got to pass both of them.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she'll bring the infrastructure bill to a vote on the floor today, but did acknowledge she can delay it. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
The bill that'll prevent the shutdown will not address the looming deadline to raise the debt ceiling to avoid U.S. default. The bill does include more than $6 billion for relocation efforts for Afghan refugees, as well as more than $28 billion for disaster assistance in the wake of all the recent hurricanes and wildfires. The House committee investigating the January 6 Capitol Hill riot has subpoenaed organizers of rallies that preceded the raid. Former President Trump appeared at one of those events, billed as the Save America March. The committee wants to know more about the organizers' communication with the officials at the White House. The subpoenas demand 11 officials who helped plan rallies in support of Trump turn over documents by October 13th. Tomorrow, a new law goes into effect in Montana, allowing motorcyclists to drive in between lanes to pass. Lane filtering is legal in 2 other states and is only allowed in stop-and-go traffic when vehicles are traveling under 20 miles per hour. The sponsor of the bill, who also owns a motorcycle shop here in Billings, says it's about keeping riders safe. But others, including the police chief, have concerns.
So if we're going to have some passing on left and right in the same lane, I fear that we're going to have some situations where the drivers do not see the motorcycles overtaking, and we may have an incident.
One of the worst accidents for a motorcycle is in slower or stopped traffic if they're the last vehicle in line, because most people, or a lot of people, don't necessarily see the motorcycle taillights. They see just the car lights, and they come up and they rear end the motorcycle. And so this allows motorcycles to move in front so they're not the last vehicle when the traffic is either stopped or going slower than 10 miles an hour.
Lane filtering or lane splitting is also legal in California and Utah. Now we go to Sidney, Montana, where the local health center is getting some help to deal with an influx of COVID-19 patients. Governor Greg Gianforte is now sending 4 National Guard members there as cases in rural Montana rise. Yesterday, the governor was in Sidney to meet with frontline healthcare staff.
Healthcare heroes have been suiting up every morning, coming in and helping their fellow Montanans, and it's appropriate that we give them the help they need so we can get through this together.
It's tremendous. We are really thankful and feel so much appreciation for the governor being able to help us with our workforce shortage issues and be able to continue to take care of our community and deliver high quality care.
While it's not great here in Montana, the number of COVID cases around the world is going down. The World Health Organization says cases and deaths fell in the past week, marking a 10% drop in both. The biggest drops in cases were seen in the Middle East, Western Pacific, and the Americas. All regions reported a decline in deaths except Europe. More people are getting vaccinated too, and the #1 reason is the Delta variant. That's according to a new poll. Nearly the same amount of people said they're concerned about hospitals filling up, and 36% said they know someone who is seriously ill or died from COVID. Experts say in general, people are more likely to take action against a threat that's clear and present rather than just something they hear about. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has issued an urgent health advisory hoping to increase COVID-19 vaccinations among women who are pregnant, trying to become pregnant, or may become pregnant later. The agency strongly recommends the vaccine to prevent serious illness, deaths, and adverse outcomes in pregnancy. Data shows only 31% of pregnant women have been vaccinated against COVID-19. Britney Spears has emerged from a 13-year conservatorship controlled by her father. CBS's Anthony Pura has more on the judge's ruling.
Britney Spears is no longer under the control of her father. A Los Angeles judge has suspended the legal agreement that has ruled the 39-year-old pop singer's life for the past 13 years and has appointed a temporary conservator to replace her father, Jamie Spears, effective immediately.
Today is a great day. It's a great day for Britney Spears, and it's a great day for justice.
Dozens of fans showed up at the courthouse to support Spears.
The United States government has failed Britney Spears. Her family's failed Britney Spears, so we're out here as her advocates.
Jamie Spears has made day-to-day and financial decisions on his daughter's behalf under a court-appointed conservatorship since 2008, when the pop singer suffered an apparent mental health crisis. But earlier this summer, the elder Spears filed a petition to end his role after his daughter sought to have his control taken away. In court documents filed before the hearing, Britney's lawyer said her father crossed unfathomable lines by allegedly monitoring his daughter's emails, texts, and calls and having a listening device planted in her bedroom. In her ruling, the judge agreed removing Spears' father from the conservatorship was in Britney's best interest. Some of the restrictions have already been loosened. Spears recently got engaged to her longtime boyfriend and has bought her first iPad and a car. Jamie Spears' suspension is not appealable. Anthony Pura, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Britney Spears was not present at the hearing. A hearing to terminate the conservatorship is set for November. Today, the Senate may finally vote to confirm Montanan Tracy Stone Manning as director of the Bureau of Land Management. Republicans, including Montana Senator Steve Daines, are opposing her nomination. They accuse her of initially not cooperating in the investigation of a 1989 tree spiking incident in Idaho, which was carried out by people she knew at the University of Montana. Stone Manning's nomination came to the floor in July on a 50-49 party line vote with Democrats in favor. Today's vote is expected to be equally close. Continuing our coverage, police are releasing surveillance video from a suspected arson that destroyed a Belgrade car wash. Back in May, the business went up in flames one Sunday morning around 3 o'clock. The total damage was more than $750,000. New footage shows an unknown individual entering the mechanical room. That's where the fire was ignited. The video also shows the suspect running away from the scene. Police hope with the release of this footage, they are one step closer to finding out who did this.
It's important because we're trying to develop additional leads, trying to hopefully get some resolution for the folks whose property was damaged. We want to get the right people held accountable for what happened. We're hoping that the public might have some information that can lead us to the person or people that we need to talk to.
The brand new Rocky Mountain Car Wash was just weeks away from opening when the fire was set, and the family who owns it promised to rebuild. A Lockwood man who spent one night missing while on a hunting trip in Carbon County says he didn't even know he was lost. A couple of weeks ago, Mike Miller and his friend Jared were separated while hunting elk. Jared became concerned and notified Mike's wife, letting her know he hadn't seen him in a while. That led to law enforcement getting involved, a story that aired on Q2 and a search. Mike and Jared ended up on separate trails but reached the same destination. When they found each other, Mike said he was just gathering firewood. The duo ended up finishing the hunting trip with quite the story to tell.
Met these two people hunting for moose, and we told them where we saw one. And the guy looks over at me and he's like, "Hey, aren't you the guy on that Q2 story? Aren't we supposed to be looking for you?" I'm like, "Yeah, but you found me."
Mike Miller is a hunter's ed instructor for the state of Montana. He says it's always important to have a backup plan in case you do get lost while out on a hunt, even if you don't realize you're lost. And before we take a break, we wanted to introduce you to one high school student who wants to be our next weatherman. This is Jeremiah Yates, better known by West High classmates as Jeremiah the Weatherman. He does the weather for morning announcements at the school and has always had a passion for it. His teacher says it's given him so much confidence, and they've even incorporated weather in the classroom. Yesterday, Jeremiah got to meet a hero of his who's a familiar face to Q2 News viewers.
This is Jeremiah, your Westside weatherman, signing off. Go Bears!
I have a question.
Yes.
Who do you like better, me or Ed McIntosh?
Ed McIntosh. This is Jeremiah reporting live from West High. Today I did the weather.
Jeremiah, how are you? I just heard you mention my name.
And McIntosh.
It's so good to meet you.
Oh, love it. All right. And we all love Ed McIntosh. Ed even gave Jeremiah his tie so he can give all his future weather reports in style. Very awesome. Thank you so much for starting your day with us here on Montana This Morning.